Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we are checking out chapters 30 and 31 of Tower of God Season 2, and we left off with just starting the next little test because they had to kind of improvise something else because their team that they were supposed to go up against, like the original idea for the test, has decided that they don't want to go up against a member of Foog, especially one with Violet's reputation that we've heard on this 21st floor. So I had to come up with something else to test these regulars with the sweet and sour team, and their challenge right now is to go inside of another creature, which seems to be a thing that keeps happening. I don't know why that is a recurring theme, especially with like Bomb needing to go through those particular tests, but here he is again, and they need to get inside to find this gem that grew there with like these specific flowers, and we had them separated into two teams. So we had Wangnan and his little group that have already gotten inside of this creature, and then every time I say it, it just sounds weirder. Like the more I think about it, the weirder it is in my brain, and I'm like, I don't know how to talk about this in a serious way. But we have Wangnan and his team who are already inside of this creature, and then we had Bum and his little group. I know he's probably not in charge, but I'm gonna say he's in charge because he's probably gonna take over in some quiet way. But they were in a little boat outside that were waiting for the creature to roll over so that they could also get in. Had some difficulties with, with Yoon flamethrowing the engine, so they weren't able to move out of the way as they had originally planned when it rolled over. So we left on a bit of an ominous note of how exactly they worked that one out. So we'll have to find out what their problem solving was for that to actually get inside. And then of course we ended off with some ominousness. I don't know if that's a word, but an ominous note with there being another person who was also inside this creature and was just like laying down next to this gem that they were actually looking for, that they just like walked right on by, who had a tattoo on all of his back and seemed to be like confused that there were other people that were there, which makes sense. It seems like a weird place to just run into people. So I feel like we're gonna get back to who that was and what that interaction is gonna be like, if Wangnan and the rest of his little mini team are going to figure out that they have walked past their actual goal for this test or not. We'll have to wait and see how exactly this chaotic test ends up going, because at the moment it's a little bit all over the place. So let's get into chapter 30. Chapter 30. Do we do okay? I feel like this is everyone making it out all right, all things considered. I mean, Yoon seems okay. That's one. It baffles me that there are people who just like don't learn how to swim. But like, I guess it makes, I grew up in the country that has like the most fresh water, and I grew up like on a lake, like one of the Great Lakes, like a huge lake. So the idea that people don't know how to swim or didn't like grow up learning to swim just doesn't compute in my brain, because everyone knows how to swim where I'm from. It's a thing that you learn super early on, and they even like make you take lessons in school. It's just a thing that everybody knows. I mean, are we not gonna try and help our team? Not gonna pull some of them out? I think it's just Foog. Everyone else is like Mr. and their names, and then there's just Foog. Oh, hi! I thought Bomb would be okay. He's done the almost drowning in water thing before, so this is just, it's just another day in the tower. I knew you were alive immediately. I mean, it's good to know that Teddy Bear's like, I got you. It's nice that he like stayed behind though, that he was like, I'm gonna make sure that Yoon gets here okay. I like the continuity like acknowledgement of like why Bomb's clothes are just like dry, and he's like, is he like in different clothes too? Like, isn't he in like a hoodie here, but he was in a different, he was in, like the t-shirt before. It's just like the awareness that there's some continuity issue there, and just like moving on from it. Well, we already saw where the flower grows because you walked past it. It's kind of like a bummer that they didn't notice right away, because that would have been such a simple test to just like, you immediately get inside, it's right there, grab the flower, get out. Could have been like all of this pressure, all this anxiety building up, being like, how are we gonna pull this off? Are we gonna be okay? Tests are always a little bit stressful, and then it was just like, simple. What did we read? You can't just cut off like that. I got questions. Ooh, I have more questions. My brain immediately went to Fruit Loops. I'm assuming that's not what this is. I'm assuming we're not dealing with Fruit Loops, but it does have a certain Fruit Loop-esque feeling. Yeah, there's also a giant cavern that she got to negotiate through. I guess that is mostly what we're focused on, isn't it? Are we gonna notice the snail thing with the flower on it? I mean, that's one way to just go for it. Look at their little faces. Oh, I can't point because my mouse is all weird. Ha 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 ha. Fixed it. Okay, their face is here. We got there. Wangnan, we've established that running isn't a plan. Running towards, running away. I mean, sometimes it's a plan, I guess. Sometimes it's the only plan there is, but I feel like in this case, there's potential for more of a plan. Wangnan though, like, be aware of the group, be aware of your surroundings. What are we moving towards and how do we get back? That's my concern. Because we're really like cut in on like his actions, and that just makes me feel like there's something going on in the environment that I'm not supposed to know about yet. Or just Aquaraptor being like older brother dad vibes. Sure. Like how there are like specific moves that I'm like getting a rundown on. So we're keeping it in place, which is a good start. Then we don't have to just run around and chase it. See it, Wangnan? Think about the team. Not only so you know where everybody is, and so that everybody's, you know, sticking together and safe, but be aware of what everyone can do. I like that Aquaraptor like took that leadership role and was like, hang on, I know how these abilities work. Let's use them to our advantage, right? Teamwork, we like to see it. Why is there a whoosh? What does that mean? Ooh, did it break out of the field then? Does that have something to do with the gem then? Is something to do with Shinsu then, and then being able to block it, control it, absorb it? We've seen lots of different ways of like Shinsu use. And it's supposed to be really valuable. I'm trying to remember all the way back now. This is one of the things about reading these like week to week. I'm like, what did we learn about the gem? I guess we're running. I guess that's the thing we're doing. Does seem a bit cavernous, doesn't it? What do you mean? What is it made of? It is made of creature. Oh, hello! That is slightly different than the cute little creature that the others are chasing after. That is slightly scarier. I mean, they'll probably be okay. Ooh, that's true. I guess there would be like, not only because there's obviously you can just like walk inside of this creature, which is again is weirder the more I say it. So there could be like a whole ecosystem in that sense, but also like parasites and stuff are also just like invasive creatures that go into organic beings anyway, and if you have something that is this big in scale, then the parasites are going to like grow to fit that environment. So I like that there's lots of awareness of like ecosystems and like the scaling and the different creatures and stuff like that. It's something that I would not think about as someone who just is awful at biology, and it would never cross my mind to like think about the creatures within a fictional world. That's something that is always missing from my stories, is on like, here's a cool magic system, or like the cool history of this world or whatever, but I never think about like interesting creatures or like plant life or anything. That's out of my wheelhouse. What's up with Teddy Bear and being like, one shot, that's it, that's all you get? Okay, so there's triple field as well. I like that there's the difference. It's just something that Prince made up. Fair enough, but I like that there is like a clear difference between Gosang and Prince. Like, even though they both can use lighthouses, we already had Gosang talk about how she's not strong enough, right? Like, she has a limit to what she can do, whereas we've seen that Prince is far stronger than she is. He has a lot more a power and like training and stuff like that. So seeing that immediate difference in what they're capable of, even though it's just like adding another lighthouse, but like being able to control 3 lighthouses at a time and using them simultaneously to pull off a specific technique, is like a lot harder than it might sound. So being able to do that and showing like the direct contrast between their abilities, I think is a cool way of building up what people are capable of, especially since it's like he just made it up. Like, it's just like a thing that he figured out and was like, I'm gonna give it a name, and now this is an ability that I can use. I like all the reds. I like the contrast we had before of like everything being like this purple light, especially since that's like them keeping this creature in one spot. And then again, as we shift who's using their ability, the color shift again to like more of the reds coming through. I really like how that's a way of marking who's using their different like Shinsu and abilities and stuff, is like the color palette shifts. Yay! Good teamwork. See, this is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see them working together as a team and figuring it out, because we've seen them like kind of as adversaries with each other, and then not really needing to like team up to use their abilities really, whereas now they actually have to be able to utilize each other's like actual abilities, because before when we had like the rooms, it was like 2 of them at a time, but they were also separated the whole time, right? Like someone had to be inside of the room and someone had to be outside, so they didn't have to work together to be able to do the test. So I like that at this point they can all work together and they've spent a bunch of time together, so they're a little bit more aware of what everyone can do and can play off of that to actually like come up with strategies, which I just like seeing the growth. I like seeing a good team work together. Yes, it was all you, Prince. That's what happened. Nothing to do with the fact that you had someone else with you. I like how it's one that we have Lord Devil as the name. I love all their little names for each other because Prince knows more about his abilities than anyone else. Hohyang? I'm trying to remember his actual name because he's teddy bear in my brain and that's all I have. But also like, yeah, it doesn't look like this is a specifically there to attack them. Like, it feels a little bit like this whole test that's happening feels a little bit out of the control of like the administrators and like the test administrators and stuff, because it's out of sight. It's in an enclosed space. It's its own like ecosystem and environment. It feels like there are lots of factors within it that are outside of their control. Like, it feels a lot more like this is something that isn't quite as polished as some of the other tests that we've seen. And I don't know if that's like intentional or if it's just because it was like a last minute switch, because we know that there are people who have connections to Foog who may be switching, like maybe influencing what kind of tests are happening, because they're people in places of like power to decide what tests are going to be. But then also we know that there are people who want to get rid of a member of Foog as well. Like, there's opposition to Foog. So knowing that Bomb is part of this group makes me think that it could be like either direction of like people influencing what the test is going to be because they either want to get rid of Bomb, or maybe they want to get rid of his team, because we know that there are members of Foog who aren't happy with this being the team around Bomb. Or it could be that they want Bomb to accomplish something else, and therefore they're manipulating it to this. Like, if this gem is as valuable and rare as they say, maybe they just want that and they need somebody to go get it. And it's easier to just manipulate the test in their favor to get what they want. I don't know at this point. I don't know who's in control of anything anymore, because there are so many different people with different motivations and different end goals that are like getting in between all of the tests and things that are going on. Like, there's a bunch of politics affecting it. Ooh, if it was running away from something, you might want to take a good look around. Okay, what are we looking at? I'm like, are there like multiple rushing down to get away from something? Ooh, quick thinking to get some shelter. Is this the person we saw before? I feel like it is, because the tattoo. Ooh, the one like run with just the plain background. Does Bomb know something about what's going on? Spidey sense is going off? I feel like yes, because we're seeing his eyes, and that usually means that something's shifting, and he's not like staying within himself as he usually does. Ooh. Okay, so we had the person. Obviously, it's the person that we saw at the end of the last chapter, but is it connected to the person who was on the rooftop? The Karaka? Was that who it was? There was the other person who was like watching them while they were on the roof. I don't know whether or not I should see those as like 2 separate people who have been introduced and are being all like spooky and in the shadows, or if that's just a continual story of like a person getting involved with what's going on. But I'm sure we'll find out, so let's check out the next chapter. Well, okay, we can't just ditch someone during all this, especially Yoon. Partly because I feel like she's not gonna just let him run off on his own, because she's always following him around, wants to know what he's up to. But also, you know, stick with your team. She seems a bit chaotic. Maybe don't leave her on her own. Oh, so he's Mr. Violet now. We've remembered his name. He's not just Foog. Ooh. Is this like a mistake, or are we intentionally not having the chapter name because it's become something else maybe? And then this chaotic mess that's just chasing after. I mean, we're in a different place now, because I saw before when they had Prince and Teddy Bear were like in this more like gray brown tone, very like dark, like cavernous place that was very different from like where Wang Nong and the rest of the group was in like a more like a warm colored kind of place. So I feel like we're now going towards where Prince and Teddy Bear are, as opposed to before. Isn't, because we had the person who was asleep that has now made a grand entrance, who also had the flower next to them. So is this like a creature that is in cahoots with them? Is it a pet? Is it trained in some way that is there to like lure them all together? Or it could be coincidence, but I feel like coincidence doesn't happen in the tower. Wangnan, just a little piece of advice. If there's a random hole in the wall, maybe don't just stick your head into it. Like in general, that seems like a bad idea, but you were inside of a living organism. Maybe don't just stick your head places without thinking about it. Oh, don't make me son go in. She's just hanging out, you know? She's just here for the ride. I mean, I'm sure she can do it, but she's also a child and it's dangerous. And I worry. I just have a lot of worried parent vibes in general. Prince, you were told to run. We're wasting time here, okay? Like I said, sometimes run is a plan. And I feel like this might be one of those times. I just feel like Teddy Bear wouldn't be telling people to run if it wasn't important. He doesn't really talk that much. So I feel like if he's speaking up and his command is run, I wouldn't question it. I'd be gone. Ooh, the fact that he's like, I'll try to stall him, like that confidence that we saw before, gone, right? Like we had him totally confident. Prince was there. He knows what he's capable of. And he's like, I'll try to stall him. Like I can buy you some time. That is all I can promise. I think that says a lot about who we're face to face with here. Yeah, just run. Just get going. Oh no, what are we doing? Why are there glowing eyes? Ugh! Did we like evaporate them? What happened? Okay, I know this is a very intense moment. Obviously, I'm concerned for safety of characters and what have you, but the backwards hat with this gesture it makes him look like a Pokemon trainer. It just does, okay? You can't tell me you've never been playing a game and it's like mysterious trainer shows up. He looks like Red, okay? He looks like Red when you play Heart Gold and Soul Silver and you meet him randomly on that mountain. Cause it's like, who is this? And he doesn't like really say anything, but you just like have to battle him. That's what it makes me think of. Not to ruin the tension. Come on. All we need is like Wangnan to show up with his Pokeball ability thing. I mean, they're chasing after a tiny creature. The Pokemon vibes are coming through. Anyway, I like how Prince like immediately is like, yeah, like he was like ready to fight and he's like, yeah, okay. Look how Prince is like, I'm ready to fight. You're lucky that I've been told not to fight you, cause I would and I'd win. I believe that you have red glowing eyes and you are only silhouetted in darkness. Is that part of the reason they send people in? Because before they're like, this gem, super valuable, we want it, but it's super dangerous. Is it also partly because there's this person there who's super strong and they're like, I don't know, maybe it'll work out, right? Like, especially like rankers that they send in who are obviously the more powerful people. Usually, I guess they would send in rankers. Like maybe that's why the test changed and that's why it seems a little bit haphazard because they're like, I don't know, we have a Foog member here. We have someone who seems to be super strong. If they know a little bit more about who Bomb actually is, they're like, he seems super strong and capable. Maybe he can deal with this problem we have of this extremely powerful person who's just like hanging out and we need to get rid of him. Maybe that's what's going on. Yeah, they're not here for you. I mean, they might sort of be there for you, but like they don't know that they might be there for you. Look, Bomb is en route. He'll be there in a second, okay? Look at Prince's face. He is not pleased at being laughed at. I feel like he also doesn't understand what's going on. Like he doesn't fully grasp what's happening. And I'm like, I legitimately think that this might be someone that we don't antagonize. Like if we could just back away slowly and leave, that would be ideal. Prince, you were told to stay quiet. Probably better. Okay, so you also came for the flower. Seems a little bit odd to immediately go to murder, but okay. Oof. Killing time seems to have like a joke to it, which only makes that hit more, right? He's just like, they were annoying me, so I killed them. It's like, it's very flippant, and then also using the phrase killing time to describe that. Like, not only is, oh, I was just like, I need to do something in the meantime, where you kind of like have to occupy yourself in some way, but like, it was literally killing time. Oh, it's a bad joke, but also it's bad that he's joking. I have a lot of feelings about that. Yeah, see, that's what I was saying. I'm like, I feel like this is an excuse for something else. Like somebody is pulling strings and this isn't the same kind of test we've seen before. Felt off, you know? Sometimes my radar goes off and I'm like, hang on a second. I mean, have they done anything bad to the supervisor? Well, they're not exactly well liked, let's say. There's some backstory here Probably. It's Bomb. It's probably Bomb. Let's face it. Are you gonna let them go? I feel like that's not what's gonna... your eyes literally glow red. I don't feel like this is gonna be one of those times where you actually let them go. I don't know, like saying like leave and forget what you saw. Like how do you know that they're not gonna talk about it? I got a bad feeling. I also feel like they're not gonna give up. Like that's not what's gonna happen here. Bomb? There he is. Oh, he's gonna pick a fight. If not, the other guy's gonna pick a fight with Bob because someone who actually is quite powerful, it seems like he's like, hey, I just need to pass the time, and that seems like a fun way to do that. So, you know, that doesn't stress me out. So, they found the final boss. He's, scary. All of my jokes aside. Ooh, the way that like the pupil is like a slit too makes it very like reptilian, which also has this feeling of like not quite human, but also like you think of like a snake in the sense of not literally a snake, though maybe I'll be proved wrong about that one, but like a snake in a more like metaphorical sense. There's like the biblical imagery of like a snake is literally what like went into the Garden of Eden and like ruined paradise or tempted people to ruin paradise. There's saying that someone is a snake in a way that they're kind of shifty and untrustworthy, and you know that there's something sinister about them. So having the eyes reflect that, not only with like the red color, which is very unnatural, and red we associate a lot with like passion, which can go a lot of different ways depending on what you're feeling. There's also the association with like blood, which I think is a little bit involved with that imagery in this case. So there's something very unnatural about these eyes. You know, they're like a key feature that we saw before. I said that it was all in shadow except for the eyes, and having that be a very telling feature of like not only this is something that is not necessarily human in the way that you would think, or you're not supposed to see them as human, but also eyes are the reflection of the soul. So having that unhuman, almost like dangerous feeling be reflected through like the windows of the soul being the eyes, but also the eyes are like how you recognize people, which is something that you learn in portrait drawing, if I can dig into my art background for a little bit. But a big thing about doing portraiture and getting it to a point where it's accurate to whoever you're drawing is the eyes are like super important. You spend so much time learning how to draw eyes, because if you can get the eyes right, you can be a little bit off everywhere else and it'll be recognizable anyway, which is why whenever I'm drawing portraits, I always start with the eyes, because if you can't get the eyes right, none of the rest of the portrait matters. So having the eyes be such a recognizable trait of like how we see people, because you look at people's eyes when you're talking to them, when you're recognizing them. We have this habit of looking at someone's eyes more than any other part of them. So having that be, you know, the most recognizable trait of this person being, you know, this sinister, ominous, almost uncanny feeling to them, I feel like it has a lot of layers of like who this person is in such a like simple trait that they have, you know, in comparison to like Bomb, who has like rounder eyes, rounded pupils. There's more light directly in the irises, you know, it's a lighter color, it's a natural color. There's like an openness and a vulnerability to the way that his eyes are drawn in comparison to this, which is narrow, darker, unnatural coloring, the slits for the irises. Like there's so much to this contrast of like who we're dealing with and why we feel like empathetic towards one and uncomfortable by the other. Yeah, I mean, what else is new? Bomb being set up by people who are in power in the tower? That never happens. He's never being manipulated by other people. Oh, see, now you've said that he's a Slayer nominee out in the open. Now he knows. Come on, Teddy. Look, Teddy Bear has my heart. Quiet about the whole Slayer nominee thing. He's gonna let you go. Probably not anymore, though. I mean, self-confidence, good. I'm just worried, because who knows where the weird tunnel leads. It's not really a tunnel. We're inside of a creature. It could be anything. Be careful though. There's a whole thing there's a whole situation going on. So like, don't wander into that by accident. Ooh, a little bit on the nose, but okay. I mean, you're one to talk about people hiding things. True. I mean, I feel like Wegnon has changed a lot just from like the last floor's test, because it was such a shifting moment. And then now that he knows what's going on with Bomb and the need to win this test, like for him, they have to do it because there are people's lives on the line, and that is a very personal thing for him. Not only because I feel like you should just naturally care about other people and them getting hurt or being killed, but also after what happened with Nya, that he's like very like extremely protective. I feel like he's projecting a little bit because he couldn't save his friend, his teammate in that test, and this is in his mind I think his chance to like do it over and actually accomplish what he wanted to. So he's kind of trying to make up for a past failure through helping Bomb end his situation. Aw. I know he's like saying, it's annoying, but like he's like saying he's worried about him. Big old softy. We know though, he has dad vibes. Ooh, that's true too, where they're like, hey, we should just give up on this test and leave. And Bomb's like, I actually can't do that. And Wangnam knows that, but nobody else knows that. So he's definitely gonna try and fight this random person in the cavern. I guess they're not random because I'm sure that they're like important in some way. I just don't know who they are. Ooh, okay, we're sharing. I feel like that's gonna get Ocraptor too, is like he also knows he's also motivated by like wanting to protect someone, because we had his daughter before, and like not wanting to lose someone, feeling like someone is being used to leverage you and to manipulate you is also something that he can empathize with. So he's definitely going to, want to help Bomb, just because like he kind of did anyway, because he liked the idea that Bomb was against jihad, but I feel like now it's more of a personal thing than like a ideology thing. Yeah, giving up is not an option. I mean, at least he's like, y'all can go though. Like, you should leave and be safe, and I got this. I don't know if he does actually got this, but he'll try. I really can. I mean, it does explain why he's, I think, never failed a test. Like, he always wins because, he has to protect his friends. He doesn't want anything to happen to them. And like, it explains why he's moved through the tests so quickly, and he just has this confidence because he's like, there's literally no other option. I have to win. Aww. Kind of sad though that he's like, he doesn't belong with us, because they're kind of bonding, but it's true. Like, he is in a lot of ways fighting for a different team of people. Like, he's still part of the team that he was on the first floor. That's like where his brain is. And then this is just like a team that he got forced to have along the way. And he was really trying to like not have a team with him. So it's kind of sad for them to feel like they're like getting in the way, or they're an inconvenience, or that they're always going to be like second choice, even though I get it. Especially as like, my heart is with like season 1 characters too. So I feel a little bit bad that I'm like, I also want to see the other team. It's not that I don't care. It's just that I spent a bunch of time with them. I like how the eyes are like slightly more, like they're showing more. It's not just the irises. It's like you're seeing like the whites of the eyes too. Ooh, I thought for a second when he was like, I have things that I fear, I thought I was going to be like, and it's not you. I wanted there to be some sass, but then I remembered it's Bomb, and he doesn't quite have the same sass as some of the other characters. If it was Kun though, that would have been him. Oof. I don't know what this fight's gonna be. You cannot tell me that's not a Pokemon trainer move right there. Convince me otherwise. Oh, I love the use of like hiding Bomb's eyes and then seeing them, like the way that he switches between those, and it's like a way of showing his like sincerity of whatever it is he's doing. I love that in this moment he's like completely himself, because he isn't trying to like block anything off or like hold back. He's completely embracing who he is and like falling into the fact that he does care about these people. Oh, hello, we actually get to see who it is. I don't know who you are though. I'm like, it's not a very dramatic reveal because I don't actually know who you are, but hello. Why the backwards hat? That's my question. Look, I can't take someone seriously in a backwards hat. I just can't. I know I should be afraid of him, but I feel like my upbringing, people who wore their hats backwards were just like not to be taken seriously. And I guess that's the note we're gonna end on me being like, I thought you'd be scarier. I'm sure he will be. I'm sure once we actually see him fight and use his abilities, I'll be more concerned about what's going on. But he isn't exactly striking fear into me. I don't know why, like, I picked up on the fact that the test was like a little bit weird, but I like that that's something that is very much part of this story, because we've had a lot of things set up and it's already a bit odd because we had them saying like, oh, the other teams decided not to be part of this. I'm like, well, that makes sense if they've heard about Bomb and Fook and stuff like that, but maybe it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that the other team like didn't want to go up against them. Maybe it has everything to do with the fact that they have a member of Foog and someone that they know is quite skilled and powerful, and they're like, I don't know, let's just use that because he's expendable, obviously, from like Jihad's side of things, that they very much want to get rid of someone who is the Slayer nominee, who is a Foog member, who is an irregular. Like, there's so many reasons why people who are on Jihad's side would want to get rid of Bomb, whereas he's less expendable when it comes to Foog, because they obviously need him for what they're doing. So I feel like maybe this is more of Jihad getting in the way, but it could also be because they really want to get rid of whoever this person is who's there, and that could be motivated by Foog if like he's causing issues for them. I don't know yet. I don't know who exactly has the motivation behind what's going on, because we know now that Foog has influence on like the administrators teachers and supervisors and stuff like that, we've seen that they have influence on the tests and what's going on. So that makes me kind of apprehensive about like who's in charge of what's going on and who's manipulating what's going on. But it definitely seems like they've been placed in a test that is specifically to put Bomb into this situation where he has to fight this person. Whether or not that is motivated by wanting to get rid of Bomb or wanting to get rid of this other person, or maybe both, I don't know yet. But it makes me concerned about everyone else on the team because they seem to just be like dragon fodder. They seem to just be collateral in all of this. You know, that makes me worried because as much as I would like to see some of the characters from season 1, I've grown fond, okay? It's been 30 chapters. We got Aquaraptor with his father vibes. We got Teddy Bear who I just adore him. We got like Misang and Gosang who are just like adorable together. We got Prince who has his moments when he feels like it. I mean, Yoon's there. I do like her in some aspects. I don't want to make it seem like I don't like her, but she isn't exactly a team player at the moment, so she doesn't quite fit in with the synergy of the group. And of course Wagnan, who just like, it's hard not to like because he tries so hard and he's so like earnest and sincere with what he's doing. So it makes me nervous that they're just kind of caught up in this. Okay, so the floor is owned by Yoon family. So we did see that Yoon, who I guess I should be calling by her given name and not her family name, was like meeting up with someone at the beginning of the story with the 21st floor. So it makes sense that they would be kind of in charge because she was like meeting with people. She was having to like deal with the fact that her family was there and interacting with them. I mean, I guess they wouldn't have ties necessarily to Foog then. Like, it'd be a little bit different because there seems to be a lot of animosity in the Yoon family towards Foog, at least from what we've seen so far. Doesn't mean that, I mean, they were on the floor, so obviously they can get to the 21st floor and have some influence over it. I'll have to ponder it. I know that we'll probably find out soon who's pulling some strings, at least like some hints about who it is. But I think that that's kind of the point though. Like I don't think it's necessarily trying to show who is more of an influence on this moment. I think a big part of it is that there are so many people who feel like they have the right to manipulate what Bomb is doing and who he is and why he's in the tests and going up the tower, that it's hard to like differentiate them really, like, because when it comes down to like Bomb as an individual and how he's being affected, they're very similar on their like effect on him. You know, when it comes down to like who Bomb is, like they're both manipulating him, they're both threatening people that he cares about, they're both manipulating people that he cares about, and I think that that's kind of the point of not necessarily knowing who they are, is that, you know, on a grand scale, if you like zoom out, yeah, they're different entities and they have different motivations and they affect the tower at large in different ways. But when it comes down to like Bomb as an individual who just happens to be extremely important and special and has a lot of influence on how things are going to turn out between the conflict of these two sides, he's being, you know, manipulated and used in similar ways between them. Looks like we're going to be getting into some fighting though, getting to see a little bit more of what Bomb has up his sleeve and see if he's able to kind of do his copy thing that he usually does. We'll have to wait and see who this other person's abilities are, exactly how they fit into everything that's going on. It'll be interesting to see where the fight goes and how the other members influence it or get involved, or if they go and do their own thing. We'll have to wait and see. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you miss next time I post a Tower of God reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!